Over the last 2 weeks on the channel, as Solana was doing extremely well, I was giving out warning after warning that a short-term pullback was very likely on the way. I said that although the long-term outlook looks absolutely amazing, the short-term is giving us signs that some type of red is approaching, and well, as I'm sure you've seen from the charts today, that is exactly what we are seeing. So in today's video, I wanted to just give you a very quick update on exactly what I'm seeing from Solana, what I'm expecting next, and how I'm going about it as a result of this. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into today's video. So in the last video, we talked about the fact that Solana's price itself had gotten a move above these two key levels of resistance that we had been under for the last year. Obviously, we had the bear market downtrend here, and we had this mid to macro downtrend here, both of which we were capable of breaking above, which was an absolutely fantastic move for Solana, and a major indicator that the market is shifting for Solana, and things could start to look up from here, especially over the long term. But what I told you, as I mentioned before, is that although this looked good, you need to be very careful because we were getting clear and evident signs that it was probably going to pull back and give us a better buying opportunity, and that's exactly what happened. We were paying very close attention to our daily chart prime oscillator, the fact that we were getting this resistance, getting these bearish momentum dots, getting these reversal triangles, these peak finders, these overbought readings. All of these things were telling us, listen, this move is not sustainable. Don't go too crazy. Don't go too buy crazy. Just slow down. And as you can see, from that time that we did get that breakout, the price itself did go from peak to where we are now back down about 28%. So we narrowly avoided, I don't even want to say narrowly avoided, we just easily kind of avoided what happened with Solana here because we're just paying attention to the momentum. And so with that said, let's talk about what we are expecting now and what the future could look like from Solana moving from this point forward and what we can do about it in order to maximize our gains. So looking at this thing, what I would say is that I am expecting it to run into an absolutely massive wall of support and liquidity rather soon. What you can see here is that there are multiple levels of support within the range of $22 and $18, and that is where I'm expecting Solana to find some support at. Let me highlight some of the key levels of support that are there so you can get an understanding of why this range is so important, okay? So what we can see here is if we first start off with just our general range, right? This general range itself and what history looks like in this range, there is a ton of liquidity. From these support establishments here to these support establishments here, and here, to the resistance that we ran into around these levels right here. And then historically what we saw back here with these 3 wicks happening within and around that range, even 4 wicks realistically, and this resistance happening here, this range between $22 and $18 has done a massive job in holding up the price typically. Now with that in mind, obviously considering there is just so much volume within this range, I'm under the belief that it would be extremely difficult for Solana to just go straight down through this thing, right? Just because of how many people are going to look to buy and sell to some regard within this range, okay? And so from a general structural perspective and historically, this is a key range for liquidity. Now, not only that though, we do also have this massive mid to macro trend line that is currently still within that range, currently sitting around $19.66. And considering this was such a strong level of resistance, I do believe Solana is somewhat liable to possibly come back down and backtest that key level of prior resistance and flip it into support. Now, not only that though, we can look at our daily Bollinger Band and you can see that we have now lost this 20 simple moving average. And generally what happens when we lose our 20 simple moving average, we do visit the bottom side of our Bollinger Band envelope, which is currently sitting around $19.65, which is perfectly within this range that we are talking about now. And lastly, if we do simply just go out to our weekly Bollinger Band, our 20 simple moving average is currently sitting around $21, which is again within this exact range that we have been following for the last week now. And so with that in mind, considering the fact that so much of this liquidity and so much of this structure is taking place within $22 to $18, I am under the belief that there's a strong likelihood that this is where we will look to find some support. Now, although it may take some time and it might not be the most exciting process to get there, I am under the belief that we could be looking to do some purchasing around this level. So let me lay out my plan for how I'm going to go about this. But before we do that, while we are talking about buying things, I do want to talk to you about a purchase that I did make this morning. You guys know that there's a company named Radical Chess that I've talked about on the channel on multiple occasions. I covered them. I told you all that, look, what they're doing is creating a metaverse play to earn an NFT ecosystem and world that is completely based around chess. Now, although it might sound niche, chess actually takes up a major part of the world with over 1 billion players, right? There are over 1 billion people that play chess. And so in my mind, if they could even capitalize on a fraction of that, they could some absolutely massive volume as we do start to see the world integrating crypto into almost every aspect of the world. And so as a result of that, I said, look, I'm going to be buying some of this token. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm interested in seeing. And once we did drop that video, we actually did see over 450% gains from that purchase, and many of you were a part of it. Now, what I wanted to do today is give you just a quick update because they announced something that I think could lead to even bigger gains that, of course, I want to be a part of, and I figured you would want to be a part of. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be launching another chess token on the ETH network. Now, this is not them creating a new project. It is all the same project. It is just a separate token on a separate network. What you can see here is that they decided on this move because it is, in their opinion, their best way moving forward in order to help the project in every way possible and bring as much exposure to the project as possible. The launch on ETH is going to be a stealth launch, and actually, it is stealth launching today, okay? So I know it's a little late notice, but they're stealth launching today. What you can see, this means that there's no pre-sale, there's no private sale, and the team is going to be providing the initial liquidity, and it's going to have a very low starting market cap. Now, when they say very low starting market cap, we are talking about less than $10,000. Now, obviously, that means there's a lot of volatility, but the likelihood is $100, $300, or $400 purchase could send that thing up 25%, right? And so as a result of that, if it goes to, say, somewhere around $100,000 market cap, which in my opinion is very possible considering the fact that their last token went to $500,000, they easily could see this thing have gains of 12 to 15x from launch today, okay? And so in my mind, with such a low starting market cap, I simply just don't see a reason as to why I wouldn't take on that risk because the reward is so high and the risk is just so minimal that putting in, say, maybe if I put in $50 to $100, that easily could 15 to 20x. Just getting up to $100,000 market cap, $150,000 market cap. It's starting off so small that there's so much opportunity that I just can't avoid it personally. I have to go degen mode. I have to give it a try, but I figured you all would want to hear it. You guys know when I post these Solana videos, I will almost always cover some of the microcap alpha plays that I'm taking on, and we've made a lot of gains this year as a result of them, and so this is another one. And so if you do want more information, make sure that you do go over to their Telegram. It is down in the bio below, and you can also check out some of the videos that I'm going to put in the description below that does cover this project a little bit more in depth so you can understand why I'm even bullish on them in the first place. But make sure that you do go check out their stealth launch. Let me know if you think that you're going to buy in, and if you do buy in, let me know how it goes for you. But with that said, let's now move into Solana again, and let's talk about, as I mentioned before, exactly what I'm doing as a result of my expectations that Solana's price will continue to the downside. So what I've decided is that I'm actually going to start dollar cost averaging on Solana starting now and slowly increase the amount that I am buying the further its price goes down, okay? What this means is that I'm going to start buying in increments. Let's say I buy here. Let's say the price does this, right? What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to buy here, 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 and here, okay? And the further it goes down, the more I'm going to be purchasing. So say if this is a $30 purchase and this is a $50 purchase, I go back to my $30, back to my $30, then we go 40, 50, 60, 70. And I'm going to continue to accumulate around the same amount of time, maybe every 2 days, 3 days, but I plan on increasing my rate of accumulation because, again, I am under the belief that Solana is in a position in which it will get a strong bounce to the upside off of somewhere in this range, and I want to be able to capitalize on that and make profits as that bounce does happen, okay? Now, when does that bounce happen? Obviously, who knows? Or just how much time is it going to take? Who knows? What I will say is it likely will take a little bit of time. Honestly, I don't think it's going to happen today, tomorrow, or the next day. I do believe it'll take a little bit of time, and that's mostly because of what we are seeing on this daily chart prime oscillator. As you can see here, our daily chart prime oscillator has barely even crossed the 50% threshold yet, and it usually doesn't, Solana itself usually doesn't see a more macro massive move to the upside until it does get this full reset to the bottom side, as we've seen back here, and as we've seen in these moments like this, okay? And so in my mind, until we do start to see this ribbon get a little bit further down here, I'm not under the expectation that Solana is going to get that bounce anytime soon, and so it does give me a good bit of time to start buying as it does slowly work its way back down and as we do continue to see this thing reset. And so if I had to give a guess, I would say that it's probably going to take at least another, let's call it 10 to 14 days before this thing does get a full reset. And if Solana does get a B bounce before continuing the C wave to the downside, this massive, more macro move could be delayed even more weeks after that, okay? And so for me going forward, I am again just simply dollar cost averaging, slowly purchasing my way in, not doing anything too crazy, and being aware that this is going to take some time. As we just mentioned, this thing is not fully resetting at all. It's not even halfway reset fully. And so because of that, I do believe that we can take our time, not need to move too quickly, and just allow this thing to play out. As I mentioned before, there is an opportunity and a possibility that Solana does get a more short-term bounce to the upside, kind of like a B wave, before continuing to the downside, but I wouldn't get too caught up into this, okay? If it does bounce, just do be aware, Solana doesn't usually make macro moves until it does see this full reset down here. And so until that is the case, these little B waves aren't going to fool us. They're not going to trick us into buying just so that we can get liquidated on our buys the moment it continues to pull back. So pay very close attention to this and watch this range between $22 and $18 extremely closely. Once we enter that range, I am going to start slowly accumulating, and buying up some Solana, kind of similar to what I was doing before we did get this breakout out back here. As you guys can see from the Patreon, right? Buying $240 here, buying $200 here. I did buy even a little bit of Solana in my dollar cost average just a few days ago with about a 10% of my full dollar cost average going towards it, okay? This is the way that I like to operate, and moving in this dollar cost average fashion has been the way that I've been able to make so many gains from Solana, even in a time where its price isn't really doing all that good over the long term, okay? And so with that in mind, guys, again, as I mentioned before, pay attention to 22 to 18. That is the level in which I will start to dollar cost average, and I will continue to update you as this does play out. If you do enjoy these Solana videos, make sure that you do click that like button and subscribe to the channel down below, and well, I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.